It's been more than a year since the Ahsoka series aired on Disney+, and Hasbro have finally managed to get their new Ahsoka Force FX Elite lightsaber to the market. This curved lightsaber hilt with white blade is based on the design seen in the Rebels animated series, Ahsoka's appearances in The Mandalorian, and of course in Ahsoka's titular series on Disney+. The question is it worth the whopping $280 price tag? Welcome back to the order, you Star Wars enthusiasts. Today we're taking this brand new Ahsoka Force FX Elite lightsaber for a test drive, to help you work out if it's worth adding to your collection. As ever, we'll look at the box, what you get with this saber, the hilt design, the electronics, and lastly, we'll see how this stacks up against some of the other options available on the market. If you enjoy this video, it would be amazing if you could leave a like and subscribe.
Help a veteran get a warm meal.
Let's get in. Starting with the box, I'm never going to complain too much about Hasbro's packaging. The angular designs are distinct and the character art is always very nice, though my only criticism is that the size of the box doesn't exactly make it conducive with displays. Inside you get one of Hasbro's Death Star themed lightsaber stands, and these are personally some of my favourite stands. You get instructions, but nobody needs those, an emitter, which I'll come on to later, and lastly you get a custom blade for this lightsaber, and then of course you get the hilt, which is actually beautiful. And I'm keen to start this review with some positives, because when we move on to the features, I'm afraid you're going to need to buckle up. Hasbro have recreated Ahsoka's hilt really well here. At the top you have the gold bowl emitter, you have the inlay section with the ignition switch, which feels really nice, and then the diamonds, which Hasbro have turned into secondary feature buttons, which we'll cover later. The ribbed grip section is nice, and the vented pommel and D-ring to attach this to your belt are all there, but you don't get a belt clip with this box set. At the base of the pommel, you get your legal gubbins, and I'm really pleased to say that they're barely noticeable at all. All looking good so far. Hasbro have done really well with the dimensions here. This version of Ahsoka's hilt feels like it's the right length, width, and thinness. I say this because last year we received Disney's updated, thinner Ahsoka Legacy lightsabers, which on their own look comically wide, but when you put them next to the Force FX Elite saber, they only look worse. The Disney Legacy saber is about 10mm wider than the Hasbro version, which makes it harder to get your hands around. If I'm honest, the Force FX saber is actually similar to the original Disney Legacy sabers, though it's slightly thinner and noticeably lighter than those offerings. As easy as it is at this stage to say that Hasbro is the clear winner, it's worth highlighting that you only get one saber from Hasbro, which is the primary longer saber. With Disney, you also get the Shoto saber, so you're getting a complete set. Hasbro pulled this stunt with their version of the Ahsoka Clone Wars lightsaber, and they got backlash for that, so I don't really know why they haven't learned from that experience. Going back to a quick design comparison, you will note that the Disney sabers have a longer emitter section than the Hasbro saber, and that's because the Disney sabers are designed to be ready to go and insert the blade straight away. The Hasbro saber has a removable display emitter, and then a longer active emitter. Just for fun, I'll add in the $50 Disney toy Ahsoka sabers into this comparison mix. If you've been following my channel for any time, you'll know that I love the Disney toy saber line, so I'd recommend these any day of the week. Safe to say, as a display piece, the Hasbro saber wins out on all fronts, but then that's a very expensive display piece. Something which may be a gold star for Hasbro is the fact that they've opted to go for rechargeable batteries here, which you get to by removing the ribbed grip section, and it's really easy to do. So kudos there. Let's start towards the electronics then. As I said, the Disney sabers are all designed to be ready to go. They're effectively plug-and-play lightsabers, which means they're really intuitive to use and quick to pick up and put away. The same cannot be said here for the Hasbro saber. The blade insertion process is awful. In fact, it's the worst I've ever seen, and every time I have to take the blade out or put it in, it sends me into a minor rage blackout. The design is so bad that I can only assume that someone at Hasbro intentionally sabotaged the process and put the design flaw in on purpose.
I've placed a weakness deep within the system, a flaw so small and powerful they will never find it.
To start, you have to remove the display emitter. If it isn't in too hard, you can do this by hand, but you may have to use an Allen key, which is provided in the box. But what a faff. You'd think that you just remove that and then put the blade in, right? Wrong. there's a bar that goes across the emitter section which prevents the blade from being inserted, so you then have to take your Allen key or hex wrench and remove this screw. Then the entire emitter section comes out. There's a groove in the emitter section here which matches a groove on the blade, and you have to make sure the blade is in enough to line up with the hole, which is where that screw is going to go back through. And then lastly, you insert the emitter section which slides over the blade and screws in place. All the while hoping that you're not damaging your blade, which is unique to this hilt and not replaceable. I am so angry. What a stupid system, Hasbro.
Good lord, how you frustrate me!
Okay, let's check out those electronics then. As you can see, the ignition effect is pretty smooth thanks to Hasbro's advanced LED system, but that's probably the most positive I'm going to be here. By tapping the diamond button you get blaster deflect, hold down the button and you get lockup, lunge forward and hold the button down and you get tip drag, and then striking the blade you get your flash on clash. All fine, but nothing new on previous designs from Hasbro. The ignition is stupidly quiet, and the smooth swing is frankly laughable. When you consider the sound effects you get from the recently released Power Saber from Goliath, which goes for just $60 and is a toy, Hasbro should be ashamed of themselves for giving us such bad electronics here. Even against the Disney Legacy Saber, which usually gets criticism for bad motion sensitivity, you can see here that the Force FX Saber is lacking. Yes, the ignition is smoother than Disney's, which ignites in blocks of 4, and for some people that might be a deal breaker, I guess. Even taking this against the toy version from Disney, it is better, but is it $280 better? I'd argue probably not. So there you have it, guys. Hasbro's new Force FX Elite Ahsoka lightsaber. In terms of hilt design and as a display piece, you're not going to go wrong with this. But with a steep $280 price tag, mediocre electronics, and an unforgivably bad blade insertion system, have Hasbro smashed it? Not even close.